Let's get started wherever Dave is, but we cannot wait. So hi everyone. I will start the recording now and start with our session. So welcome everyone to this interview with Craig Wood and Dave Simmons, who is not online yet. I hope he joins us. This is to share some experience our customer or two of our customers have with PlantTools and working with auxalia in general. And so I don't, oh, there he is. Can you hear us? But you may need to turn on your microphone.
Yes, I can hear and see.
Yeah, we can see you as well.
Hey Dave, how are you?
We can also hear you.
I'm exhausted.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, comes with the territory.
Yeah, I just introduced or started with the introduction. So Craig Wood and Dave Simmons, and they will introduce themselves in a moment. So Craig Wood from CRB and Dave Simmons from Quip, both from the US. I mentioned here the tools they are using. I think CRB is our biggest customer in regards to licenses, but also for development. And Dave or Quip is especially using Plant Data Manager. And yeah, Dave will later on say a little bit about how they use it and so on. Another person comes along. Okay. A few words about auxalia. We have over 30 years of experience. We have more than 4,000 customers and 70 employees. And we have 3 branches here, 7 in Germany and 1 in Switzerland and 1 in Austria. The headquarters is in Hamburg here in Germany. And I don't want to go through that list in detail. I just want to mention this is a list of features, not complete maybe, but these are features we developed for CRB, and Craig will later explain some of the use cases where these features are used. There is also a session tomorrow where I will dive into the software development we do for customers for PlantTools. Okay, so that's the PowerPoint. So I'm not sure if everyone can see the webcams. I assume so, but so maybe someone can send me a message besides you two guys, but maybe someone can say me how it looks on the other side, because I'm not, I don't know, so to speak. Okay, so maybe Craig and Dave, you introduce yourself and your company and what you do, so I can. We can have a start. So whatever, Dave, you want to start?
Short straw. Okay. So I'm Dave Simmons. I'm the CAD administrator for Quip Technologies in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Quip has designed and patented technology to basically get every ounce of product that we could get out of a kernel of corn. So if anybody's familiar with the ethanol business, so it's corn, fermented, alcohol vapors come off of that, make fuel. So the wet mash that is the byproduct of that process, our smart owners have taken that and have like 15 patents. So they take that wet mash, they dry it, clean it, crush it, and do a lot of other nifty stuff to it. And on the downward side, we get protein powder, which is going back into animal feed and into human food. We get simple sugars. We get high purity alcohol. We get corn syrups, and there's a couple other major products that we get that all come from that what used to be just straight wet animal feed is now a high demand product for the market. So protein, obviously, in everything that we eat. Simple sugars are going to basically could possibly replace plastic bottles in the future, which is very exciting. Obviously, high purity alcohols during COVID came in real handy for making, hand sanitizers. Corn syrup pretty much speaks for itself. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell. So we are an add-on to existing ethanol plants. So anybody that has a plant can add on our products as a downstream process to glean even more value out of their plant, because ethanol only has a certain range and certain lifespan. So
okay,
that's us.
Yeah, thanks. And Craig, what about CRB?
Sure. Yeah, CRB. We are based out of Kansas City, Missouri, in the U.S. We also now have a couple of branches in Europe for the past, I guess, a year and a half or two. They're in Basel, Switzerland, and Stuttgart, Germany. And we primarily are focused at, we're an architectural engineering and construction firm, primarily, who deals in the high-tech industries for biotech, pharmaceutical, any kind of clean tech process design. So vaccines to lab grown food now. So really interesting industries, a lot of them that are really trending right now. And it's a lot of really exciting work. So I personally work there as sort of our corporate P&ID systems lead. So just ensuring P&ID or successful P&ID projects for the company through our software and our implementation there.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I should mention that Craig and I often share several hours brainstorming about new ideas he has. So endless. So maybe a few words, maybe I'll start with Craig this time, about how you, let's say, how the relationship in regards to, well, it started with Cat Studio, but now it's Auxalia. So how did that start, and yeah, how did you learn about PlantTools or our company?
Yeah, well, I first came upon CAD Studio at the time, now Auxalia, through just looking around online for some different solutions out of the box for Plant 3D. And so we do a lot of P&IDs. They're our most important deliverable, and the Bible of the design, as we like to call them. So really important to us, and we liked what we saw with Plant 3D, but it wasn't quite getting us to the level of efficiency and high quality that we wanted. It's a great base, but we were able to determine that Plant Data Manager was actually the first plugin that we looked at to do a lot of bulk data editing. So that's what it sort of turned us on to Auxalia, and I met Karsten through Autodesk University, the conference there, and since then we've been brainstorming, and it just only increased our business with Auxalia since then, and increased our number of licenses and the number of development as we've continued to standardize and use the tools.
Okay, thanks. And Dave, how about Fluid Quip?
So for Fluid Quip, I was thrown into Plant Data Manager, so it was here when I came on board. They had already found you and implemented long before I started, but so my tenure with it is a lot shorter than Craig's, but in similar responses to his, I mean, the out of the box Plant 3D was good, but not for a high-tech environment such as both of ours, what the P&IDs require. A lot of information stored in the data that's not really on the P&IDs, or it's not linked to pipe. So there's a lot of information, but we use multiple tools. I mean, the Plant Data Manager and the Reporter are some of the bread and butter. The Plant Express tools, so my CAD designers, my piping designers use it, not only to bring that data into the P&IDs, but there are several other tools in that suite that are amazing. And the one I stumbled upon was the bolt calculations, which saved me. I fought bolts for like 6 weeks before I found that we actually had this tool. And I went from pulling my hair out to praising Karsten and his tools.
Yeah, actually, the customer who ordered this development, Ovivo in Austria, Mr. Semlich is also online in that session. So there will be, as I mentioned, a session tomorrow about software development. So this is like with CRB, this is part of our, let's say, daily job to provide solutions to customers, not just with the PlantTools, but also with the services for development of additional features. So, okay, yeah, maybe Craig, you can give us a few examples of, well, what was, let's say, maybe initial features or requirements, I shall say, of having using PlantTools and improving PlantTools by ordering additional functionality. So, can you recall or what are the original, or not the original, the first, let's say, implementations were when you started with PlantTools?
Yeah, so the first implementation definitely started with Plant Data Manager, just so we could, we had that project we were first using it on. I had hundreds of P&IDs, and as you know, to edit any data in any plant project in Plant 3D, you have to open the drawing to edit the data in there and then save it and close it. So we started off using Plant Data Manager to sort of meet that need. And then it sort of grew into the rest of the suite of tools through Plant Express tools, and to use the features for updating tags in bulk, updating acquisitions in bulk. That was a huge time save. Both of those are huge time savers. To be able to run those globally on the project, or even on just a couple of drawings. But then we started getting into a little bit deeper as the tools began to gain adoption throughout our company. We began to see a lot of value in using Plant Link and Plant Spec Driven, and of course Plant Reporter was a natural follow through. So yeah, I think we've definitely scaled up our usage over time, and I think we're using pretty much just about all of the tools except for maybe one present day.
Plant Clash Detection, which is a 3D clash detection. And yeah, I should mention CRB is doing the 3D piping in Revit and not in the 3D part of Plant 3D. So
for better or worse.
Excuse me?
For better or worse, we're piping in Revit.
I will reserve my comments for offline.
Yeah, that's a whole new topic. So maybe you can mention an example. Took me a while to understand, because it's not typically not the way the customers I know work, and that's the concept of your PSET table. How does that work? And you use Plant Link for that, at least. Yeah, Plant Link. I'm not quite sure if Plant Express tools may be involved with the calculation as well in there. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but so maybe in just to get a bigger picture for our customers or audience, what is the PSET table, and and what is it used for?
Yeah, so PSAT is an acronym for one of our main piping deliverables, which stands for Piping Systems Application Table. So it's a mouthful to say. So we call it the PSAT, and it's basically just a table. And that table, it lives natively in an Excel file, and our project engineers and the team will go in and make edits to it. And what we use it for is essentially we list out all of the unique combinations of service, spec, and installation type that are essentially client approved for every project. So every project has its own PSAT, and we sort of review all of the various services that are going to be going through the facility, and the different materials, and of course their installations. And so client approves that up front, and then we actually will give each of those combinations a unique identifier in that document, and we will then use PlantLink to link that table into our drop-down list. So when inside of Plant3D, when somebody's creating a P&ID, instead of manually assigning the service and the spec and the installation independently, they pick one unique ID value that shows the listing, that unique combination of those three values, and then it pulls all of that in from that table. And the great thing about this is that we have a lot of changes throughout the ongoing design, where maybe a certain material, the client might change their mind and say, well, we don't want to use copper anymore, we want everything to be stainless, or maybe copper prices will eventually come back down from where they are right now, and maybe we'll want to use copper again, so it'll get incorporated back into the PSAT. And so instead of what would classically be an engineer going through their entire system, redlining all of the changes where they want to change from one material to the next, all they have to do is open up the PSAT, edit the spec, or remove a record, for instance, and then we just run PlantLink through Plant Data Manager, and then essentially apply those changes to the entire project, and not a single red line has to be generated in order to make that a broad sweeping change. And then lastly, we'll use Plant Express Tools calculations feature to actually calculate the annotation of the line annotation. So then where something is not insulated, we just use a conditional expression to, if it has say a fiberglass insulation on one, but it's not insulated on another line, then we can say, well, wherever the line is not insulated, just don't even show the insulation type, or a placeholder. So.
Okay. And Dave, maybe you can give an example how you use, maybe especially Plant Data Manager, because your company has a lot of Plant Data Manager licenses. So what are the typical workflows at Quip in regards to Plant Data Manager, or other tools you want to mention?
So Plant Data Manager, I don't know the exact workflows. I do know that our team of process engineers, they comb over all that data, obviously daily. So they're exporting it out, they're mass updating it, they're adding thousands of pieces of information, and then they're pushing that back in.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly the workflows that they're doing, but it is the bread and butter of our process group. So it is a key application in Fluid Quip. Yeah.
And you mentioned already the bolt calculation, and you were kind of surprised, or you didn't know that in Plant Express Tools there's also the bolt calculation, and so that's maybe a good point or a good time to point out that often customers they purchase a plant tool, especially Plant Express Tools, with or without in combination with PlantLink, but for a certain purpose. So they need a certain function, maybe the assembly function of Plant Express Tools, or the calculation function of Plant Express Tools, and so on. But then they come, let's say they have new ideas, and they want to have an additional requirement they would like to have solved. And often it says, well, the feature is you already have the feature, because you have, for example, Plant Express Tools. Like you mentioned the bolt calculation, you already had Plant Express Tools, and then you figured out, hey, there is a bolt calculation in it.
Yeah, so PlantLink works, because on the Plant 3D side, the 3D side, that allows us to so we keep a master project with all of our data fields and all the customizations that we make. And so with PlantLink allows us to copy those changes to future projects and active ones running, and we don't have to remember all the little nuances that we made changes to moving forward. So, or we can take it from one project, we added a new feature, and we can push that back to the master, and we can also push it forward into other active. So Plant Express Tools was basically a requirement because we pushed the data from Plant Data Manager into the PNIDs. So that was had to have that. And then, like you said, I didn't even know the bolting was there until someone from Autodesk actually told me, said, hey, you should probably check out this supplier. They've got a tool that does that. I was like, I already have that. And I'd been using it for 6 months and had no idea it was even in there. And it saved me thousands of hours of work messing with the bolting, which in Plant 3D does not work properly. So Plant Express Tools, the bolt calculation does perfectly what Plant 3D should do by default, and to ping them a little bit after 11 years of, running their product. That's one of the key features you think they'd have got right by now.
And again, another
I don't
topic.
know if there's any Autodesk people on here, but I'm sorry.
No. But interestingly, so we had the bolt calculation in our old AC Plan Designer, which was acquired by Autodesk in 2007, and AC Plan Designer already had bolt calculation in it, and the developer who developed the bolt calculation in AC Plan Designer and who moved to Autodesk, his, let's say, options were limited if it came to the bolt calculation in Plant 3D, but now he's working for us again. So he could use all his knowledge about bolt calculation, and I also had some own experience, something like 20 years ago, where I actually worked on a project where bolt calculation was also key at that time, and so and Ovivo, who asked us to develop the bolt calculation, they also saw the need in having a configurable bolt calculation, because, as you mentioned, Dave, the calculation in Plant 3D is not, let's say, not really calculating, at least not the way you would expect it, and so on. But yeah,
So did you say Aviva?
Oh no, Ovivo in Austria.
Who actually ordered, okay, not Aviva. Okay.
Yeah, no. Ovivo in Austria. Well, not only in Austria, but the Mr. Semlich, who is in Austria, who let's say led that development and asked us to send a quote, and then started with the development of the bolt calculation, and so yeah, they also saw the need, and so do, of course, now that the bolt calculation is in there, more and more customers want to use it. So yeah, in let's say in defense of Autodesk, I should say there are just endless numbers or number of requirements globally, and everyone has it a little bit different, and it's really hard for a software developer, especially a big one, to flexibly, I said no, that's not a good sentence, but to quickly adapt to certain, or to a specific customer, and Autodesk cannot develop the way we do, by either it's just too expensive or they are not simply flexible enough to just develop something for a customer. And this is where we come in. Craig, maybe you can say something about the line of why is CRB, let's say, pushing the development of PlantTools in general, not being specific about, you mention as examples, but what is driving CRB and maybe your management to spend money for development and PlantTools in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, in these industries that we serve or service, they're very demanding in terms of requirements. I mean, a lot of our, say, biotech and pharmaceutical clients, for one, are FDA regulated here in the U.S. So the documents have to be as close to perfect as possible. So we have a really high expectation for the quality of our deliverables, and we also, with quality, means an increase of time. So if you can improve tools to improve the efficiency of them, then you can get the quality there in less time. So our amount of project work has not slowed down. It's spiked really with the pandemic. So all the more reason to look to improve the efficiency of how we produce our deliverables. And we're really committed to continuous improvement. So we're always looking for ways to engage with the users of our software and find out what the pitfalls are in their workflows, and try to improve those and use the technology of the software to sort of shore up any deficiencies and really expedite things that otherwise are very time consuming, such as the current development item that you're working on with the page connector, new page connector manager that we were talking about a little bit ahead of the beginning of the meeting here.
Yeah, so Craig is, we are currently working on an off-page connector manager, which replaces the way, at least how the user perceives or uses off-page connectors. It replaces that, although in the background, it's still, let's say, storing the linked off-page connectors the way Plant3D does it. So we don't want to disrupt, let's say, especially from a data base point of view or structure point of view, we do not disturb that, let's say, or change that. But from the user experience, it's just, you will see, I showed it in the morning in the German session about news in Plant3D 2022 and a little bit about PlantTools. But there will be a video shortly, I think, where we show the current state, and you can really, you have a user interface where you have the outgoing and incoming off-page connectors. You can connect them, you can view them, you can essentially navigate, you can connect to other projects, you can create multiple connections between let's say one outgoing off-page connector to multiple incoming off-page connectors, and so on. This is what we are currently working on, but Craig has a pipeline of additional development. The next one, well, yesterday we talked about maybe changing the order a bit. But one of the, let's say, major additions, what will come next, is a replacement again of the assigned tag dialog. There will be more options, not just from the user experience, how that let's say user interface looks like, but also from the functionality, what is possible for the assigned tag. And it's often interesting when Craig comes with an idea and then we start brainstorming, and I come up with a, let's say, rough user interface, and then we brainstorm some more, and while developing we have more ideas. It's just endless improvement of a feature, and I encourage that from all of our customers, because it's driving PlantTools in general. It makes them better. Okay, let me watch. Yeah, so I think So I'm just thinking, is there something else? Do you have something you want to share or so? Otherwise, I would come to a close. If you want to share some more thoughts.
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So then, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Craig, for your participation on that in that interview, and I'm really happy that we could share your experience with the attendees here in that session. And yeah, hopefully we have no AU, at least no in-person AU this year again, but hopefully next year we can see each other again. It was supposed to be, I think, in Dallas this year, but anyway, we will see. Okay, then thanks everyone for attending that session. I think I have 2 more slides. One is about our plant blog. So if you go to the Auxalia homepage and you switch over to English, that's maybe the easiest way. And then you will, in the menu, you have a plant blog, and here are some examples of some sessions we have there. They are typically accompanied by videos in that blog. I'm a fan of videos, as some of you know. So have a look there. And as I mentioned yesterday, so that was the session here on Thursday. And tomorrow at 10, I have the German session of software development, but at 3 p.m., I have the product development as a service for PlantTools. So whoever wants to join, please feel free to register if you didn't already do it. And otherwise, have a nice day. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to you guys.
Thanks. Bye.